Okay, welcome to Jan-Piet's Choice. And this choice is another sneak preview, if you excuse my French, for the sneak preview for our Brahms Festival coming up soon now, in mid-November, Saturday and Sunday, 17th and 18th November. We have here at the Amabile United Church a whole new world celebrating Brahms and Dvorak. This, of course, is a follow-up of our Beethoven Festival, if you remember, in June, when on one day we played everything by Beethoven. Quite a bit here at the United Church, and we were so happy doing that. People who were involved playing and singing and so forth, that by popular demand we decided to do something similar like that later this year, and I think the same evening I decided that it would be Brahms and Dvorak. And so that's what we'll do. And here is one of the pieces that you'll also be able to hear in our festival. But I hope that if you hear it today, you don't think, oh well, then I can stay home on Sunday the 18th. Because obviously it's a work in progress. Our violinist here, Jody Ostenfeld, knows that part really well, but I'm still working on my notes. And I hope on Saturday the 18th at I think 1:30, when we'll play this officially, it will be maybe a lot better than today. But we're going to try nonetheless. We're going to play this piece and let you work out what it is and who it is. about this last year, I think. We did this once last year in Jan-Piet's choice, contextualized, but maybe nobody else was there then.
It sounded familiar.
Right. Of the two composers in our festival,
I think it's a Brahms sonata.
it's a Brahms sonata, yes, absolutely. For violin and piano. Of which there are three.
I have no idea. But
And no, that's all right. But it's Brahms. Can you hear how it's Brahms and not Dvorak? It's so serious. It has so much warmth. It has, although it has a lot of rhythmic sophistication and variety, it doesn't have Dvorak's upbeat sort of folky rhythm stuff. Not that Dvorak always has that, but a lot of the time. It's not quite fair, to Dvorak, but it's so serious. Dvorak, I think, often is very serious, but doesn't show you. Brahms often is not so serious, but he pretends to be serious. Remember last week, the Amabile piano duo played a few of his waltzes, which I think is fairly light-hearted music. But still, even when writing these light-hearted waltzes, Brahms gets so serious. And I think that's also a little bit here. It's of course a very beautiful, warm, lovely, in the best sense of the word, piece. But still Brahms gets so serious about everything. And I thought I'd give you a few clues to how Brahms gets serious here. So serious, you don't even notice it, but it's so serious. Brahms always serious. And the nice thing is, this is Brahms' Opus 100. I mean, if you write enough pieces as a composer, you've got to get to 100 sometimes. So this, one of them had to be 100, and this is Opus 100 for Brahms. Very nice. And what I noticed last year, some of you may have heard us play parts, or maybe the whole Dvorak Sonatina last year, and very beautiful piece by Dvorak, also for violin and piano. And I had not noticed this before, but last year when working on it, I said, oh my gosh, I never realized that's Opus 100. The Dvorak Sonatina is Dvorak's Opus 100. And in Dvorak's case, in fact, we know that he manipulated that a little bit at least to make that violin Sonatina Opus 100. And of course, composers, with the help of publishers, can manipulate these opus numbers a little bit. Typically a composer works on a few pieces, more or less at a time, right? And or the piece is finished, but is still lying on the composer's desk, right? Or maybe sitting on the piano or something. It's not gone off to the publisher yet. So there is a certain leeway in which piece do I send off first, what opus number I'm not going to assign it. And in the case of Dvorak's Sonatina, we know he somewhat manipulated things, chronology, to make that Opus 100. And when I realized that last year, I thought, gosh, that cannot be complete coincidence. Because Dvorak writes that piece knowing, I am sure, Brahms' Opus 100, the violin sonata. I'm quite sure. And Dvorak and Brahms were close enough for this not to be coincidental. Even if the Brahms-Dvorak thing here is coincidence, which I don't believe, then Dvorak surely wanted the violin sonatina to be a special piece in his oeuvre, therefore Opus 100, and that may have to do also with the fact that Dvorak wrote the piece for his two children. So, a long story short, in the Brahms Dvorak Festival, we'll have a special concert on Sunday early afternoon called Opus 100. in which young violinists from Armadale and the region will play the Dvorak Sonatina. We have 4 young violinists playing a movement each of the Dvorak Sonatina, and Jody, who is graduating soon, she hopes from uni music, will play the Brahms Op. 100. And so this is a tryout. We've been practicing all morning today and yesterday, working on it all the time, and so it's going quite good, it's very nice. Yeah, I'll show you a few things how Brahms does these serious things that you don't even notice. But first, one very obvious thing that I pointed out with the help of a very wonderful singer here last year. What Brahms does in this first movement, also in the last movement of the same sonata, and he also does that elsewhere in chamber music, he cites, he quotes a song that he himself had written before, of course. It would be difficult to cite a song that he had not written yet, so he cited a song that he had written already. And if you know, some people here in our Armadale audience are incredibly knowledgeable, as a result maybe of coming to Jan-Piet's choice all the time, or maybe they were knowledgeable already. If you know your sonata form situation, where would you most expect the citation of a song? Where in the sonata form, is the most obvious place to cite a song? In the second theme. The second theme of the sonata is almost always the more cantabile, the more singing sort of stuff. And so if Brahms wanted to cite a beautifully singing theme from a very beautiful song, one of his best songs, I really think, then that would have to be in that second theme. And lo and behold, it is there. Why don't we play that second theme? Sung by Jenny Warlock on our Saturday night Brahms Dvorak Liederabend. But so here is that song, a little bit transformed. Of course, it's not an exact citation. It's almost a bit like a memory of that song. Brahms says, "Oh, by the way, that was nice. I'll use it one more time." I think for Brahms to cite his own song means a lot. I think that means he was really, really happy with it, otherwise why cite, right? And there is reason to believe that Brahms often was not so happy with his own stuff. He was a little overly critical, unfortunately. If he weren't, we would have had much more Brahms, which would have been nice. But because he was so critical. So if Brahms thought so highly of the song that he could cite it in the violin sonata, that means a lot. I'm not going to sing it for you, and I want to sing it for you, but it's just beautiful. That's sort sort of how the song goes. With that beautiful, that high note going just over that high octave. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we've spoken quite a bit lately in my Friday night music theory class and also in rehearsing about that song and how it relates to the violin sonata and how that relates to our performance of it. Because we realized that even if people know the song, they will often not recognize it in the violin sonata, which to me seems a serious problem when you think about it. But if there's such an obvious citation and you don't recognize it as a listener, what's going on? And as usual, I think that there is an issue with tempo here. And you can only push things so far. But what we're trying to do now is to take, as much as we have the courage, the time for especially that second theme. And a little bit also for other parts of this movement, because there's so much going on. And if you play it much faster, as is often done, you lose so much detail, which I increasingly think is such a shame. But there is Brahms' own song. Shall we do it one more time? This little motive in a way very simple. It's not exactly a beautiful, beautiful Brahmsian melody. It becomes that a little bit, but it's in a way almost like a rhythmical sort of thing. Pom, 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 pom. Nice motive. And we show you something very cute that Brahms does with that. In fact, what Brahms, of course, does all the time, if there is a triplet, pom, 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 those three notes together as a triplet, well, one person can play triplets and the other person does not play triplets. So you get three notes here and at the same time two there. If you try to learn the piano, or even if you can do it really well already, that often still remains a problem, because it's so hard to do three in one hand and two in the other hand at the same time, right? You think it's easier when one person plays three and the other person plays only two, but that's only superficial. In fact, that's also very difficult. And Brahms loved that sort of play. So, if you play from your big forte, then you hear in one instrument, or one group of instruments, because the more we work on this piece, the more I say, oh, it's so not like a violin sonata, but it so is like a movement from a symphony. You so have to imagine, I think, an orchestra behind the violin and the piano. And it's not that the violin always plays the first violin part. Sometimes the violin plays flute for a moment, oboe, clarinet, even, dare I say, French horn for a moment. And the piano plays all kinds of instruments all the time. There's sometimes brass, sometimes strings, and you think, gee, you know, why has nobody, in fact, orchestrated it for, you know, as a symphony movement? And I think, yeah, sounds promising. But if you really do that, you sort of take away from the piece. You have to sort of imagine it, and you can hear it in all kinds of different ways, but to really do it, maybe not. Maybe not. Because it would never be the way Brahms would have written it for orchestra. So we'll play that theme, little motive that you just heard, glorified, and first with that 2 against 3, very exciting, in the middle of the sonata movement, in the heart of the development, where I learned in college, anything goes in the development. Anything can happen. Often people say it's like the 2 themes of the exposition having a conversation or maybe even fighting. But I think it's much more than that. But it's really the moment for the composer to give his all that he wants to say. There's room for that in the development. The violin has the melody. In my mind, that's like the wind section. With my piano being all these strings counterpointing that, right? And then, very beautifully, I think all the double basses and cellos play the theme. And then something wonderful happens that I'll point out in a moment. But let's do that first again. Marvelous. But as she's talking about it, she lost a beat, and she's now 1 beat behind. I'll try to show that to you. Can we do the same thing one more time? But she's actually a beat late, and the conductor can try to do what he wants, but this person keeps playing a beat late. If you want to look at it this way, it's hilarious, right? So that happens. We'll do it right there. I play my downbeat. I think this is the timpani. Boom, boom. Saying here's the beat, downbeat, and the second beat. And she says, well, hold on, no, the other one is the downbeat, is it not? But it doesn't work, right? But there's more going on. I leave out notes, but I'll add another layer. It's a bit like, so she plays these notes, and somebody else remembers, oh yeah, I think I have to play those notes too. But now this person is another beat late, and what's worse, he plays a tone too high. And then this other guy says, clarinet or something, well, here is another downbeat. We'll do one more. Yeah, no. But I'll leave the timpani away this time. Here you go. we sing the same notes, except me 1 beat later, and half a tone higher, sort of. Right? But one more time. Coolest thing. Right. And then the cellos come in, and the cellist says, you see, violin was wrong, and that even wronger. Well, no, but we cellists are going to show how it really should go. And there they are. Very neatly in time, and the right notes and so forth. An octave lower was the cellos, yeah. And the violin in this case says, it's so nice, the cellos. I'll help them a little bit being heard, because they're so low it's a bit difficult to hear them. And so the violin helps a little bit with those triplets in the cello to be heard. It's a bit like she's saying, yeah, look at those cellists playing those triplets there. I'll help you a little bit hearing it. Right? Do one more. But that passage is much more complex, because another instrument now says, oh, it's nice, isn't it? I can play that too. Yeah, 2 beats later. and again, I have come too high. I'll add that now, see if we can do it. But what's nice is the flute stays with it. It stays with the mistake. And that leads, in this case, to this marvelous, marvelous harmonies that Brahms, of course, wants. It's all not by mistake or by error. Brahms wants these wonderful chords. And Brahms loves this canon idea. The same notes, 1 beat later, maybe you have gone higher. Bach did that sort of thing, and the other great composers before Bach. And Brahms says, yeah, people have forgotten a bit about those tricks, and I'm doing it again. That's why Brahms is very, very, very much more than any other contemporary, standing on the shoulders, not even only of Beethoven and Mozart and Haydn, but of these older, much older German composers that you've never heard of. Bach, yeah, Heinrich Schütz, and so many other great composers from the 17th and even earlier centuries that Brahms loved. The story about Brahms is that, of course, he subscribed to the complete vision of Bach that was coming out in the second half of the 19th century. And the story is, whatever he was doing, writing a new symphony, a new string quartet, new violin sonata opus 100, or a beautiful song for mezzo-soprano and piano, whatever he was doing, when the mailman came with the new volume of Bach, he stopped working. And he had to read through some music by Bach that he had not seen before. Because when that complete works edition of Bach came out in the 19th century, much of the music was published for the first time. And how would you have known it? I mean, there were no CDs, no complete recordings yet. So it was must have been very exciting. The idea is, there's another new Bach volume. Let's see, what is it? Cantatas. Oh my gosh. Another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cantatas I've never heard of even. But it shows you also, I think, how much Brahms wanted to learn from these old composers. It's very beautiful. Should we do the passage one more time? It's marvelous, I think, how he uses that canonic thing, and you almost don't even notice as a performer, let alone as an audience. And so that's what I like about Jan-Piet's choice, is not only that we can play things here and try things out in a sort of easygoing manner, but also that I can tell you a little bit about what fascinates me in this piece, and maybe it makes you listen a little bit differently, maybe even better, I don't know, to whatever we try to play. I've said so often, what I try to do with music is like taking a class of little kids to a museum and tell them, look at the painting is that beautiful. Ah, now I can see. That's what I try to do with music, I think. We'll do the passage from a time and then do something else. How about we go from the... What happens there is the recapitulation, the beginning comes back, but as always with the recapitulation in the sonata form, the beginning comes back, but it could never be the same as the beginning, of course, right? Because so much has been said now, so now we have to, we're forced to. How could we not look at that same theme from the beginning differently, right? It's like that theme has gone through a whole odyssey in the development, and now it comes back. But Ulysses is the same guy 20 years later, coming back to, what's her name? Penny. And, Penny.
Yes.
Not Sam, Penny, not Sam, Penny. And it comes back, and he's the same guy, but also not, of course. How could he be the same after Circe and Calypso and 10 years of stuff in Troy? Not the same guy. And I think it's a bit that theme also. It has gone through all this stuff. The same exact notes in the beginning, yes, yes, but not the same. And then what I like very much is how in the recapitulation, the beginning was back, how composers, including Brahms, say, yeah, but we don't have to say everything again the same way, right? And the violinist says, ah, yeah, I now what's going on, I can come in a little bit sooner. How about it? Right? The pianist was playing on his own for a long time in the beginning, right? You noticed, boring. And the violinist says, well, look, how about I take over the second line this time? Very nice. And you think, I know the piano is coming again. But she says, look, you know. Oh. its stuff, I'll show you something about it. Can you play this? A bit slower. Nice, right, but a little bit empty. So Brahms says, I still need a right hand for the piano. And here's what he does. Can you play one up? So Brahms plays, yeah, that's nice. What happens is they play the same notes, but the pianist plays them quickly, more quickly, so that he has room left for more notes. But it's the same notes starting at the same moment, but she plays them. She says, well, we can take the time for this. Piano says, no, quick, I learned my cello etude, quick, quick, quick. And then the pianist has room for more notes. It's basically a canon, but the pianist plays the notes more quickly and needs more notes therefore. And she plays more slowly, but it's a canon. And the thing is, Brahms being very serious with his very sophisticated, bright, intellectual, technical device, this canon. But you never hear it that way. And I don't even know that you should hear it that way, but there it is. Brahms. I don't think he would even care if people heard it, but he wrote it. A bit like Bach, I think. See if you can hear it. Shall we start a bit earlier? Cool, right? Can you hear it soon? Isn't that marvelous when you know it? We do not know. Shortcut to the very last time that we play that theme, that opening theme, one more time. And basically, that's the first time that the violin and the piano now play the theme together. And I think that's a little bit symbolic for how this movement develops. Piano, violin, piano, violin. But is it not true? In a way, in the course of the movement, they become closer, they get more together, and in the end, they really come together. You can think of this what you like in terms of Brahms' biography, but there it is. Should we start right there? 259. Into 3. It's really 2 bars, but by stretching it out, it becomes 3 bars. But it's really stretched out 2 bars. Can you do that? Well, thank you all for coming and for listening so attentively. It's, I'll say one thing about this that I don't often say. I've often said it to colleagues performing with me here. It was remarkable how quiet they were listening. And that is not so common today when you play classical music for an audience. There's always somebody's cell phone going on, or somebody saying something, or whispering, or something. Well, and so often we've been here playing, and it's so quiet. And you think, gee, maybe they're actually really listening. And yeah, it seems so obvious a thing to do when you go to a classical concert, but so often it doesn't go that way. And as a performer, that's such a very wonderful experience to have. So thank you for that. That's Jan-Piet's choice for this week. Brahms, Opus 100, the first movement, Allegro Amabile. Jody Ostenveld will play this for us again in the Brahms Worship Festival. Is it 5 weeks away? 6? Something like that. 6 weeks, I think, maybe. November 17th and 18th, here mostly at the United Church. And the program in much detail is now online on my website. Or you can go to the or you can go to our Facebook page. What's it called? Brahms Worship Festival, isn't it? Brahms Worship Festival on Facebook. Thanks to our wonderful committee member, Connie Rolf. But before that, next week, there will be yet another choice. Thank you.